All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. This is kind of an interesting episode because for people who are watching the video version of this, I mean, I know audio is the main way people experience the podcast, but if you're watching the video version, the two guests on this episode will probably look familiar to you. You've probably seen them, and when you hear their voices and their names too, you probably associate them with various Winnipeg projects over the years. But this is a weird one because we're talking about like this quasi-anonymous like weird side project thing that I'm really excited to talk about, because if there's anything that I like talking about is weird side projects. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one. But I think the best way to start this all off is so people can put a name to the voice. If the two of you want to introduce yourselves and then maybe just give a bit of background about what it is that you do musically, because I know you have your hands in a lot of pies.
Well, go ahead.
Hey,
I'm Joshua Letkeman, and right now Jacob and I are doing A Topiary. I've played in also bands like Last Chance Gang, June Killing Stones. I think there's other things too. I just can't remember right now.
I mean, the Letkeman brothers.
The Letkeman brothers, yeah, that's a big one we do.
Together,
my solo stuff under my own name.
Yeah.
I have also like 3 or 4 projects that are just like Bandcamp release type things. I do an electronic project called Peaceful Protest. There's a few other things I can't remember the names right now. Anyways, lots of stuff.
I think that's enough to that's enough of a resume to go through. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jacob Letkeman, and been part of a few different projects over the years with mainly with my brother in like June Killing Stones back in the day. But also had a project called Window Talk recently that will be having some sort of posthumous album release at some point, I'm sure.
Oh, cool.
Just have to mix it down myself and go from there. And then like I've played with different people here and there, like Shanoa McKelvey, who's an amazing musician.
Yeah,
always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And do my own solo stuff. I have like an electronic project as well, Boneless Beach on Bandcamp. And
cool. So I mean, it's a lot. Like I said, I think people will recognize you guys from somewhere, whether it's a band you were in together or various other projects. But the one we're talking about here today, this is, I want to get into the history of it because I definitely heard the name for a while, and it was this anonymous thing where with like shadowy kind of band members. And I think somewhere along the line, I don't know if one of you told me or someone else told me, I learned that it was you doing this. But what is the story behind this? Why did you make a secret band, and what was the kind of incentive for you behind keeping it on the down low?
I'm not sure what you're talking about. I was a big fan of this Monster magazine when I was younger. I used to oh sorry, never mind. Okay, sorry.
Don't do the Billy Bob quote.
That's a Billy Bob quote.
Remember
that? Yeah, okay. I won't do that shit.
Yeah.
Repeat the question because I got silly.
Why an anonymous band? Why all the secrecy around this project to begin with?
I wanted to, or I guess we wanted to, like just make it about the music and let the music speak for itself and get rid of the face. And also I love performance art, whether it's like The Residents or like what Blue Man Group did, kind of stuff like that. I'm trying to think what other, did Milk Banana, did they also do like a anonymous thing maybe? Or there's been a bunch of bands that have done similar things that I always thought was cool, being into theater type stuff. So dressing up in wacky clothing. And
I also really like the whole concept of being perceived and how you can alter that in a very, like when you're dealing with like performance and being on stage in front of many people, just sort of, but also what he said.
No, it makes a lot of sense for sure. How was it actually successful in terms of like making yourselves unknown? Because I imagine the type of shows you were playing, you probably had a lot of friends in the audience, and the community is very tight knit here and everything, and people know each other. Like, was there actually serious confusion about who you were within the local music scene in general? How well kept was the secret?
I would say initially
yes, and it was hard to get on bills because we had to like anonymously try to talk to people about it, and then I had 2 friends help us out who would set us up, and we literally had like 2 people set our gear up, sound check, and then we'd show up in a car like 5 minutes before we walk on stage and just go onto the stage and play. And so at first, people didn't know it was us. We tried not to have too many friends in the audience, and it was just kind of hard to book shows. And people also started to like not know who it was, therefore they would talk and like, who's under there? And they maybe thought it was bad people or an abuser or something stupid like that. But so it was a little hard to do at first. But I don't know. We just did it anyway. So
So why is the eventual like now this is who you are and people know that you are behind this? Is that just out of frustration with kind of having to keep up the charade for so long, or?
I don't know.
I wouldn't, for myself personally, I wouldn't say so. It was more just like a
evolution
point where an evolution where I felt like the masks weren't a thing that we needed.
I would like to one day maybe dress up again, maybe not the mask, but like the big costumes we wore with like the paisley.
Absolutely, that is something we've
I love theatrical stuff like that. Like, do you remember Element Circus back in the day?
Yes.
And bands like Absent Sound would play, and they had crazy like people walking on stilts. And
yep.
I remember going to those things a lot and really digging what people are doing with that whole scene. So yeah, it was an evolution pretty much, and we might revisit it sometime. But I don't know, just wanted to also, it's hot as fuck wearing those costumes.
So yeah, for sure.
It's hard to see as well, and you're like,
and you can't see, and you can't. It was hard.
Right, and seeing is important to be able to know what you're playing. And,
yeah. Speaking, I mean, the music, it is pop music, so it's only usually like 3 chords, or it was at the time. But even still, you need to know where those 3 chords are.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, well, maybe that's a lead into the next question. Then is how do you define this? Do you think of it as a pop band, or what of the millions of different genre tags that are out there would you most associate with this?
I think we recently were talking about that actually to see what we should be calling ourselves, and the term that I first coined was experimental love pop, which we've now come back to, because we kind of get spacey, we jam a lot. Jake and I are really big into improv bands like the Grateful Dead. It's one of our favorites. Fish, Dave Matthews. So we love that. We love Jerry. Yeah, big Jerry fans here. So we love collective improvisation, which is part of what we do in our bands, and
it's hard to escape it when we play together.
Yeah, so it was experimental to that degree, and I sing a lot about love and healing and growing, and really about like self-healing, growing lyrics. So
it's like a lot of self-introspection, I think.
Yeah. And pop, just because maybe it doesn't fall into a pop category, but we also tend to write in very hooky, catchy, simple basic chord progressions you'd hear like in 50s and 60s pop. So I don't know.
It's the melody, I think.
It's the melodies more so. So
this is
actually. So experimental love pop. We thought we should maybe call it rock, but
I mean, there are elements, and I think this is more coming from your influences of like, there always be like little flavors of like 90s like rock and like
because I grew up
as like mainstream
teen in the 90s, so I love that.
Yeah,
that just seeps in no matter what, right? I mean, if you're from that era, that's going to be part of your musical DNA, regardless, right?
100%.
Any influence, I think, if it affects you, if it's like strong enough, it'll always kind of leak out,
Yeah. What is I mean, again, I don't want to keep dwelling on the fact that people have heard you with other projects, but what makes this one stand out? Because people have heard you in various combinations together. And I mean, they also know what kind of music you write individually and with other groups. What makes this one stand out? Like, I guess the question is more so, why make a new project rather than just continuing with as the Letkeman Brothers or as some other version of yourselves?
Yeah.
For me, I think it's what kind of sets this one apart is it's the people we're playing with now. Everyone else in the band, they're committed, they're dedicated, and they're enthusiastic. They're excited about it.
Okay.
They bring cool ideas to the table, and they always have their parts down, that kind of thing. And that's really important. Like, it kind of I feel like that's where a lot of bands get their success from. It's just functioning well as a unit and everyone kind of being on the same page, which can definitely not happen all the time. But I think we kind of lucked out, in this case.
100%. We I always like to pick who I want to play with in bands, and I always like to pick the best players, and we got those players, so I'm happy with that.
I mean, I remember probably like close to 10 years ago when we were jamming with Jason and them at that big loft.
Yeah.
And we did I Will Survive with Jay. Our bassist was there, a friend of Josh's for a long time.
Okay.
And he was playing bass with us, and I remember we jammed and we were playing. And after we were leaving, I was like, Josh, who's this guy? He's like, oh, that's Jay. And it's like talking about how good he is, and like, man, we should get him to like June Killing Stones. And it's like, oh, he's doing other stuff right now. And it was just kind of like an aw shucks moment, but now we got him, and it's great.
Yeah. Jay, if you don't know, Jay Bachman is also the bass player in Last Chance Gang. So yeah, he's a good friend and also phenomenal bass player.
I think he also plays with, was it the JD Edwards band as well?
He's going to be currently playing some shows with JD Edwards coming up in the next while. Yeah.
Cool.
Also the Tims, but we also have Sean McDonald on keyboards, and he's just a genius on the keys.
I played with Sean in a band back in the day, not for super long, but we played out a bit, and he was part of a blues group called Hooch and the Howlers with some people for a number of years, and I think they're still reasonably active. And then I had sort of he had joined this like blues project we had like a long time ago, and just formed a friendship. And ever since, he's just like a what do you call it when you he's like a hired gun. But, like, he's part of the band, but like he's like one of those guys you can call on and be like, hey, you want to do this thing, and he's just like he's down.
Yeah, he's also like another level when it comes to keyboard playing.
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal. Also, his ear for melody is quite amazing.
Cool.
And then we also have Nikki Buckle on drums, and she's somebody that I first met when we were doing like a lot of the Rock and Roulette cover shows at the Handsome Daughter.
Okay. Yeah.
When they hosted those cover nights, and we started doing a lot of those shows together with Jake as well. Various acts. I think we covered Rants, so that was a 6 set.
Talking.
That wasn't her actually, but we did
Unicorns.
We did a bunch of stuff together with her, like Death Cab and Modest Mouse.
Okay.
And then we started dating too, so she's kind of stuck with me.
Yeah,
it helps too. But yeah, again, also just a super tight drummer, could play anything I threw at her, and just always down to play. So yeah, the group we have right now is really special, really awesome.
Yeah.
But kind of go back to your question. I kind of view this band as a continuation of June Killing Stones in a way, just musically, because the music's pretty similar at times.
I think I agree, but I think it's we're different people making.
Oh, and it's a different thing, but it's just kind of like
evolution. It's evolution.
Yeah, it's the evolution of the June Killing Stones. And
not that I believe in evolution, of course. just kidding.
And also, we tend to write in so many different styles and have so many different bands. I don't know. This is now the main project for me personally.
Okay.
Everything else is taking a back seat or just done for now.
Do you have? I mean, first of all, it's good to have musicians in the band that you trust like that. Like you said, every single one of them is someone that you can basically count on to do what you need, right? But what is it like working together? I mean, you clearly do work together well, and you've been around each other a lot, obviously. But so I mean, how does that work though? Because sometimes you get people who are in the same family and they just don't. It doesn't work, right? Like, what is it about each other that meshes well?
I think there's only 2 words to say, really: blood harmony.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it honestly, it took some work to learn how to communicate with each other.
Yeah,
I feel like just being in a band with a family member, there tends to be less of those. Like you feel more comfortable maybe stepping over certain like barriers and maybe saying the wrong thing or whatever. Speaking bluntly, let's say.
Sure.
So, I think we definitely had a challenge in the early days, and kind of through learning how to speak respectfully and understanding what each of us wanted to do, and so on and so forth. And but now it's like I find whenever we sit down to do recording or anything like that, it's just like we can sit down, we do it, we go through it, it's smooth, it works, we can operate really like efficiently and just well together, I think.
Yeah, there's something special about playing with Jake. Obviously, because we're brothers, we can harmonize really well together. Our voices blend really well together, hence blood harmony, like I said. Also, coming from similar backgrounds musically, we can communicate musically really well when it comes to soloing and doing the collective improv type stuff, knowing where each other's going to go, just having that same intuition. There's actually a clip of us playing a show a few years back where at one point in the song, we both stop, pause, reach up, sweep our hair back in perfect unison. It's really creepy, actually.
I think it was the Jimi Hendrix tribute show at the Rock and Roulette. It's on our YouTube if you want to check it out.
It's actually Leap at the Goodwill.
Was it Leap?
It was that one.
I think we did have that one too, though.
Anyways, it's just really crazy. So anyways, playing with Drake is special, and it's my favorite thing to do. So I'm happy we get to keep doing this, and it just keeps growing and getting better, and our music writing is getting better too. And
cool. I hate asking this question because I'm sick of talking about it. I'm sure everyone is, but what has this pandemic been like for you to actually, as far as being creative? I mean, have you been able to get a lot of writing done and a lot of, I mean, maybe not recording, depending on where everyone is located, right? But I mean, have you found this to be a creative period for you? Having, I mean, some people have had more time, some people have had less time, depending on jobs and lives and things like that. But what is your experience as musicians living through this been?
I was lucky enough to work through most of it. I worked in a school, so we were still there for the most part, except early on, maybe just for a couple months. And again, for the first part of the pandemic, from like 2020 to like maybe early 2021, I got really lazy and didn't do much at all actually for writing and playing, and more so lately have been.
Okay.
With this project, we had the first album already recorded because we record everything ourselves. So it was kind of just sitting there, and I released a few songs as an EP, which is online. But the second album was fully written and ready to go, and that's sat here since I think 2018 or 19.
Oh wow!
So now we're actually starting to play those songs. So while I was not super productive, I was sitting on that album, and now it's really awesome to see it come to fruition and be able to play these songs and shape them with everybody and see how they come out. And it's sounding really, really, really good.
Do they still feel new, the songs? And then, I mean, now that you've had this kind of layoff between...
For me, they still do, because now I'm hearing them in a whole new light with all new parts around them.
Yeah.
And I tried not to touch the songs too much once they were done too, and just kind of let them sit there. Otherwise, I would have got sick of them. So that was my experience with COVID.
So I'd gotten laid off from my job in September of 2019. So like right before COVID hit. I was working at a machine shop, and small privately owned, like family owned business, and they were competing with corporations and stuff. So wasn't enough work coming in, and I was just out the door. So I went through the winter trying to find work, and then the pandemic hit and made it obviously very hard. So I wasn't working for a lot of the pandemic, and it's it was a bit of a double-edged sword, where you go through these moments of productivity, and you'd finish, you get the album ready, or you spend a month not even picking up your guitar, just I think it fluctuated for just a lot of people, my one band, we had just played our first show was March 22nd, 2020.
Right before,
so
Great timing,
that was kind of a it was like, God damn it. But we've managed to get an album recorded once the initial March to June or July.
There was a brief reprieve there where you could actually do stuff.
End of the summer. So we got some stuff done there, and we've actually got a 6 or 7 track EP recorded just in the one day.
Cool.
With a friend of ours, and so it's I think and also just sort of the mental stress of living through these unprecedented times.
It
kind of I feel like it weighs on us a lot more than people really kind of even we've kind of sort of already sort of internalized it
totally
in a lot of ways. But you just kind of sit there and I try to remind myself just to not get used to it, because
this isn't really normal.
It's really insane. This is a really insane time to be alive, man.
It is.
But it's also it's a pretty cool time to be alive too.
So what does getting out of it look like then for you, as far as for playing shows and stuff? Because I know shows at this point, when we're recording this, are starting to happen slowly again. I mean, venues are opening up. There's shows, but I imagine there's tons of competition right now to get a show anywhere, because everyone wants to get out and play because they haven't for 2 years, right? So what is sort of your short-term plan with this project as far as actually getting out and performing, if at all?
Well, I guess we played a fest. Jake couldn't make it for that one, but we played one fest so far in August.
Okay.
Had a great reception there, and people really dug it, sent some kind things about us. We've also started booking a few other shows. I think we have one coming up November 13th at the new venue, Park Alley, the bowling lane.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Which is Carrie Bukowski booking that one.
Pardon me?
Carrie Bukowski booking there.
Yes, Carrie books there. And that's with Marin. We're playing that one, who's one of our favorite bands.
Yeah, good band. For sure.
Yeah, really good band. So Cole's an amazing songwriter. Honestly, my favorite songwriter in the city, probably.
Cool.
We are slowly booking stuff and just trying to tighten up a lot more, and we'll get some recordings done.
But I think we're all on board to play where we can. I feel like as much as there might be a sort of a rush of people getting out there to play, which there certainly has, but I feel like there's also probably just as many people who are they have some trepidation. I don't know if I want to get as a band, I don't know if I want to get out there yet, guys, kind of thing.
For sure,
folks. And I've especially with the new venue opening up, I'm feeling pretty good about what we have so far.
Yeah, we're not looking for too big of a rush to book a whole bunch of stuff. We're just gonna book,
get our songs on lock,
and book some shows that we actually, some bills that feel important to us that venues you like, and
not just take whatever.
Not just take whatever. No.
I mean, what I'd like to eventually get to is like we were talking about like music scenes earlier, and like one of the scenes that I really liked, and we're talking like Element. You're talking about Element Circus, how they would have these big like productions essentially, and like these big like.
We should revive
well, I what I really like is the like sort of like the acid test scene of the early like mid 60s.
Yeah.
You have like a 1 or 2 live bands playing. You have people there, and you have like interactive art. You have like visual projections. You have painting. You have like and like just like that kind of scene where like you have it's like all your friends are there. Everyone's creating. Everyone's contributing to the. Sorry,
let's do that.
It's a great idea. You should do it. Yeah.
Just,
I think it's a great time to do it. It's a great time to do it now too, because everyone creative has been like locked in, right? I mean, it's not just musicians; it's visual artists and people who do projections and people who everything, right? They've all been sort of stuck at home, so it would probably be a good time to get everyone together and do something like that for sure.
We do want to bring some visual art into it. It's a band called Versa or Versa Visual.
Versa's I think they're Versa Visual on Instagram, but they're called Versa.
There is this group, and I think now they're more just graphic or artist people, and they do these amazing like almost like 60s psychedelic like watercolor art on projections.
Oh yeah, nice. They use like an old projector, I think, right?
But they like drop liquid and colors into like a tub and then film the tub and project like the weird what they're doing with their hands. Anyways, like we want to bring some of that cool stuff into A Topiary as well.
We've also had some friends, some friends of ours recently who like in the last year or so who have started working with like old like high school projectors, and you use like you need to find like old glass clock faces apparently is the thing because they have that distortion to them. So and like you're like pouring like colored oils and stuff like that together, and like the really old school like what you see behind Jefferson Airplane, Monterey Pop
or Pink Floyd,
that sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. The early Floyd stuff.
I love this. The last band I was in, which has been like a decade ago now, we did stuff like that, and I feel like
nice.
I wish we were still around now because we could play the show with you guys. Maybe there's more of an appeal for it. But we had like giant rocket chips on stage and like smoke machines and shit, and projections and stuff, and spacesuits and everything. And yeah, so I mean.
The Mouth Boat?
That was the Mouth Boat, yeah.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, cool. So we had all kinds of ridiculous, like, we had a dancing robot and projections and video stuff. And I like that kind of, as a concert goer, I like to see that more than just a band standing there playing. I mean, that can be exciting depending on the band for sure, and depending on the energy and stuff. But when you have like a show, I think it makes it more worth your $10 or whatever to get in when you get this full experience, right?
It's like fully immersive. It's tactile often.
You're
hitting all the senses, man.
This seems like a good project to do that with because you have that history of the costumes and all of that, right? It's not too much of a stretch to suddenly just like do something visual because people have seen it before.
Yeah, exactly.
We do something with Paisley, turquoise.
I do love Paisley.
Right on. So what's the best way for people to hear this at this point? I mean, I know, again, like you have new stuff that you've worked on over the last little while that you're going to be releasing. You have some stuff out now. Where would you kind of point people to if they want to check out your music?
I guess, the Bandcamp, which I believe is it A Topiary at Bandcamp or atopiary.bandcamp.com, or is it A Topiary Music?
I'll link to it in the show notes so people can find it that way.
But that, and I guess check out on Instagram what we're up to for shows and stuff, which is also under A Topiary.
It'd also be nice to try and get our stuff onto like Spotify.
Yeah, we should probably put stuff on Spotify too. That'd be a smart idea.
It's the way of the future, and we have to accept it.
So it's pretty much Bandcamp,
unfortunately,
Bandcamp, Facebook, or Instagram.
Okay. Yeah. And why the name? I was meaning to ask this earlier, but why A Topiary? I mean, I know what that is, but what does it have to do with anything? It's mysterious.
That's all I'll say. I was a big fan of this monster comic book when I was younger, and sorry. The people not reference
in Finland,
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Honestly, I think that like.
I know there's a meaning behind it, but go ahead.
Like, how I see it represented is like he put the name forward is like, this is what I want to call it. I'm like, okay, and at the time it's the name, but as it's sort of attached a meaning to itself.
Exactly.
So for me, it's like it kind of is representative of the sort of, I guess, eclectic nature of what we tend to create together.
And topiary is like trimming and clipping bushes into ornamental shapes. So
we tend to take sounds from all over the place or whatever and try to form them into a, what we're looking for, what we want people to see or hear.
I like that.
Case.
But I actually lifted the name from a script. I'm a big film fan, like deep dive into like all different styles of films. So do you know Shane Carruth?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I
He,
know that one.
he did Primer, the weird sci-fi indie film,
Okay.
and also Upstream Color, indie director, really out there with some cool shit. And he wrote this script for this mega sci-fi he was going to put together, but could never get funding for, and his project never came to fruition. So I remember reading the script and loving it, and just loving his work. And it was called the film was going to be called A Topiary.
Okay.
Oh,
So I just kind of lifted that from him because I thought it was beautiful aesthetically and also what it represented, and just yeah, I don't know. That's where it came from.
I don't know if I remember that. I don't know if I heard that story before.
No? Yeah, look it up. You can find the script online. Also, his films are weird and good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
nice.
I like that answer, but I think the correct answer you should have given was, would you have asked Tom Petty that?
Yeah. Thank you. For those who don't know, that was an old interview with Billy Bob Thornton on Q.
That's right.
And he was being a dick because he didn't want to be asked about his acting and only be asked about his music.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was a great interview. I loved it.
Pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
So it also makes for a good like copy pasta if you ever have like
Yeah.
an unreasonable person online. You just tag him and give him like a few paragraphs to read.
It's funny to hear that coming up now because I haven't thought about that interview in years, and it was obviously it was at the time very frequently referenced, but nice bringing back the hits here. Yeah.
I literally have done it to Jake where
Yes.
if he was, I
If
felt being
we
difficult,
were having a disagreement,
I would text. I literally typed it out word for word,
communication issue,
and I copied and pasted into a text and sent it to him as my response. So yeah.
I mean, it was funny, but it was
It
also
was.
frustrating.
Yeah, it was frustrating.
Yeah.
I believe it.